Fractions to decimals using number chips. This is a digital lesson, and this one is summer themed. So the lesson starts with explaining that one way to change a fraction to a decimal is by changing the denominator of the fraction first to 100. So we're going to ask the students just to move these number chips. These are movable around the screen. Move them into the correct circle to tell us what they multiplied each of these numbers by to get a product of 100. And this will walk them into the steps for converting a fraction to a decimal. One method. So here we have 50 times 2. They're just going to click and hold on the edge, and then they can move these into place. 25 times 4, and so on. They're going to use every single number on every slide. And so as these get more difficult, they get to the end of a slide and the numbers aren't working, they know they've made an error somewhere and they need to go back and check. So in that way, it's self-checking. So the next slide, they're going to be multiplying numerator and denominator by the same number in order to get an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator. So here we know we have to multiply 50 times 2. That means we also are going to multiply 9 times 2. And we get an equivalent fraction of 1800ths. They're going to do that with every single one of these. 25, we know we have to multiply by 4. So we have to also multiply 5 times 4, and we get an equivalent fraction of 20 hundredths. And again, remember, we're using every single number. Now the next slide is a review of place values, so they're going to have to remember where to place these numbers. And they just read the instructions at the bottom of the slide. It says place 4 in the ones place. So they just, again, click and hold on the edge. 1 in the tenths place. And they're just going to place every one of these numbers correctly. Now the next slide shows one way to convert a fraction with 100 in the denominator to a decimal is to look at our numerator. So this number that's in the ones place of our numerator is going to go in the hundredths place of our decimal. So this is going to be a 9. This number will be a 3. And this number a 0. And then we just place the numbers in order. So 49 hundredths, the 4 is going to go right before the 9, and then this number is going to have to be a 0. Here the 1 goes right before the 3, and this number will be a 0. And this one, the 8, goes right before the 0, and the 1 goes here. Now on the next 3 slides, we've got fractions with 100 in the denominator, and we're just going to change them to decimals. We know that 5 has to go in the hundredths place, and then we just place the other numbers. This one has to be a 0. 82 hundredths, same thing. So these start out pretty simple. The next slide, we have 43 hundredths. That's pretty simple. When we get to 5 hundredths, that 5 has to go in the hundredths place. So students commonly make the mistake of placing it here in the tenths place. So this number has to be a 0, and this one also. So this is 5 hundredths. And the next two are fractions where we have 3 digits in the numerator. So again, that 1 has to go in the hundredths place, and then we just place the other numbers in order, and so on. Now on the next slide, slide 9, students are going to be converting these fractions to equivalent fractions with 100 in the denominator. So we know these have to be 100. So we look and see what we have to multiply here. 2 times 50. So that means we have to multiply the numerator times 50 also, and we get 50 hundredths, and then we can convert that to a decimal. That 0 has to go in the hundredths place, and then this number has to also be a 0. Same thing here. If we multiply 4 times 25 in the denominator, we have to multiply 3 times 25 in the numerator, and we get 75 hundredths, and we just change it to a decimal. And they're going to be doing the same thing on the next two slides. So this number is going to be 100. They're just going to convert it to an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator and then change it to a decimal. Same thing here. Now we get down to slide 12. Sometimes we have to simplify a fraction because we can see here 6/40. I can't multiply 40 times any number to get 100. But if I simplify it, then I can do that. So here, if I divide the numerator and denominator by 2, I get 3/20. Now I can convert it to an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator by multiplying numerator and denominator by 5. And that would make this 15, not 5. 15 hundredths. And then we can convert it to a decimal. Here, if we simplify by dividing numerator and denominator by 3, we get 1/5, and then we can go ahead and convert that to an equivalent fraction and then to a decimal. Now we get to slide 13. Now we've come to a fraction that we can't convert to 100. So even if we simplify this by dividing numerator and denominator by 3, we get 1/8. Now the division is partially done for them already. So all we can do now is to take 1 divided by 8 because fractions are just division. So we're going to do the long division. This is a good review of long division. 8 goes into 10 one time. Multiply 1 times 8, we get 8. These numbers are just going to continue as 0. So we'll go ahead and place those. We subtract, we get 2. We're going to bring down a 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times, so that'll go up here. 8 times 2 is 16. Subtract, we get 4. I'm going to bring down another 0, and now 8 goes evenly into 45 times. And now we have our decimal answer. They're going to do the same thing on the next slide. And then when they get to slide 15, now we're going to have a repeating decimal. So they're going to do all the division, but they're going to get a repeating 6. So they want to move this bar. This bar is movable. They just click and hold on it, and they can move it. They want to cover the 6 to show that that 6 repeats. And then, of course, finish the rest of the problem. Now, the very last slide has some vocabulary that you want to go over with the students. Terminating decimal, non-terminating decimal, and repeating decimal. So that is a digital lesson, summer version of fractions to decimals.